packed. Welcome back to my channel. I am here with my husband, Ezra. The last time I posted on this YouTube channel, I was Piper Featherstone, and now I am Piper Bond, which is so weird to say, but it's also freaking awesome. We got married last week. Cue the audience. Woo! So we have been married for a week tomorrow. Yikes. We're pretty much experts at this marriage thing.
Yeah.
No, but obviously with the whole COVID-19 situation going down, our wedding plans had to drastically change from what they originally were, and that's just something we wanted to kind of talk about with you guys. We got a lot of questions about our wedding, how it went down with all of the restrictions taking place. So we just thought it would be best to kind of make a video about it. So I got you guys to ask me questions on my Instagram, just what you wanted us to answer, what you guys wanted to know, because there is a lot to go through. And we'll probably answer like as many of the ones that we can, but there's just so many, it's ridiculous. A lot of them are repeats though, so hopefully we'll be able to answer the majority of them. But if we don't answer all of them and you guys have any more questions, just feel free to comment them down below and I will get back to you ASAP. So we'll start off with a few facts. There's so much to talk about. So we got married on the 3rd of April. Yes, this was our original wedding date. We didn't have to move our date at all. We were praying and praying and praying that we didn't have to, because there is a special reason behind why we picked that date. It all happened very last minute. Really made the plan of like where we were going to get married and how it was going to happen the night before. So just another piece of info, I guess, is that we actually technically eloped. No, this was not the plan, but we did do it in secret. None of our family members except our parents and siblings knew that we were actually still getting married on the date. Everyone thought that we were postponing, and on our actual day I was getting ready and Ezra was getting ready as well, separately of course.
A lot of people were messaging us, like family, saying
sorry,
like,
you
as
had
in,
to
like,
postpone.
my uncles, your aunties,
yeah,
were saying like, oh, thinking of you, it's really unfortunate, blah blah blah.
And we were both just sitting there like, oh thanks, but then like we're actually getting ready to be married.
Technically we eloped.
Yeah, which definitely was not the plan. It was not at all what I wanted to do when we first like got engaged. I would have, you're trying to hold in a yawn. I would have never even thought about eloping.
Yeah, but circumstances changed that weren't in our control, and so we were like, oh well, this is what's happening.
What God has this is what he's given us. So we have to work with it, and that is why we are here today. So we will just get into the questions because I know there are so many. Let's just start because I have a ton of questions to answer. Okay. Celine asked, will you be having a big party afterwards since you guys eloped?
Maybe.
We are not sure. We know that there are so many people that have gotten married on their original date and then are postponing the party, so they'll just have the party like in 6, 10, 12 months, whatever. But honestly, I feel like our day was perfect enough that we almost don't need to have like the second wedding. Does that make sense? Our day, I cannot explain how good it was. So how it worked was that we hired an Airbnb for the night before, and we stayed in this Airbnb. It had multiple bedrooms, so we stayed in separate rooms. And then the morning of our wedding, I woke up at probably like 7 o'clock and I came out and Ezra was cooking breakfast for us both. After breakfast at around 8:30, I went off into my bedroom, which had an ensuite as well, and then Ezra also like went off and started getting ready, did what he needed to do. You're literally yawning so much. Our ceremony happened at like, I'd say like 2 o'clock. The two biggest positives that I could take out of eloping, I'm not sure if this is a question or not. One, the day was super chilled. There was no timeline for anything.
Didn't feel rushed at all.
Didn't feel rushed. We could do whatever we want.
Which is something that you always hear about weddings, is like, oh, I felt like I was like running around. I just felt like the day went by so quickly. Like, the day did go quickly, but it was like, just like,
yeah. And then the second point that I wanted to say was that Ezra and I got to spend, apart from getting ready, We got to spend the entire day together, which was obviously just like the best, because I know at people's weddings they're often catching up with like their family and just speaking to all of their friends. Like, oh, you want to show off your ring?
No.
While we're on that note, we actually have to show them our rings. So that is Ezra's wedding band. It's just a nice plain gold band. You guys knew what my engagement ring looked like, I'm sure. This is my wedding set. There we go. That is what my wedding band set looks like. I'm not sure if you can see my wedding band underneath. It's super beautiful. I'm so happy with it. Our jeweler is Michael Arthur Diamonds. They're based in Sydney, Australia. He created our wedding bands. They are absolutely stunning and we are so obsessed with them. Now I can't stop looking down at my hand. I feel like my wedding band just adds like such a, like my engagement ring was already so beautiful before, and then my wedding band just adds like a,
and a ooh.
Louisa asked, did you get married on your actual date or did you have to move it because of COVID-19? And then she also asked a second question, also, why did you pick that date? Was there a reason? Congrats, you both look beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, we got married on our original date. We didn't change
that we've had set for like
our wedding date.
And then we picked our date, the 3rd of April. We picked the 3rd of the 4th month because we wanted a date that was really significant to us. But all of our dates, like our dating anniversary and our engagement anniversary, they're both in like the winter months, which we didn't want to do. So the reason we picked our date is because it relates to one of our favorite Bible verses, which I will put on the screen down here. We felt like it best kind of described us as a couple. The Bible verse is Song of Solomon chapter 3 verse 4, and it is, I have found the one whom my soul loves. So we just thought that was really fitting, and we thought it was really romantic and beautiful, and it also involved God in a way that not a lot of people involve, I guess, in their wedding days. So we just, yeah, we picked that for that reason. We were really worried about having to change our date and move it up, because we signed our notice of intent to marry, which is, I'm not sure if you've got to do it in other countries, but in Australia you have to sign that form at least 30 days before you actually plan on getting married. So we signed before all of this stuff kind of came up.
Yeah, this wasn't even a concern. Our wedding was like good to go.
And that pretty much means you can have your wedding from like any day after 30 days that you sign that.
Forward if you have to.
So I think our 30 days was from kind of, yeah, like mid to end of March. We were pretty much good to go from like the end of March to the start of April. Like we weren't going to push it past the 3rd because we really wanted our date. Because it meant a lot to us, but we were worried that we were going to have to push our wedding up. And that was like if we went into like lockdown or something like that and we weren't able to actually like get married on our date.
Yeah.
We didn't end up having to do that, but the amount of anxiety that we both had, me especially leading up to our day, just in regards to like I didn't want to move it, and then I was worried like with all of the announcements. I mean, it was just really scary. I know that the world doesn't revolve around our wedding and that we have to keep people safe, which I completely agree with, but it just caused a lot of anxiety for me personally. So we potentially could have gotten married on an earlier date, but we were praying that we would make it to our date, and God answered that prayer because we got married on the 3rd of April.
We did.
Woohoo! Ash, who is our photographer, or who was our photographer, who we will put below because she's incredible.
You need to go check out her page on Instagram.
For sure. She asked, what was the strangest thing that happened on the day, with 2 emojis that I'm sure you can see. Would you like to explain?
I'll explain. So pretty much we just broke out into our first dance at the top of a paddock. The owner of the Airbnb, she just lived up the road a little bit, and she offered us her property to wander and get photos taken on her gorgeous property. Because she owns 4,000 acres. Yes. Yeah.
Up where we got married.
Yeah. She offered us to be able to wander the hills and wander her property and take photos. Yeah. I know, as soon as you're not talking, it's like...
Yeah.
Just the specific paddock that we ended up being in had lots of sheep. So you can imagine what that means, lots of poo. Mm-hmm. Piper's in a wedding dress. Yep. So we broke out into our first dance as husband and wife, which was pretty awesome, at the top of one of the paddocks. But as you can imagine, when she spins or when she's walking, her dress is dragging along the ground, so it's flicking. it's flicking all the poo everywhere, so that was just quite amusing and quite funny. Like at the end of the day, you just pay to get it dry cleaned and it's all good and it's clean, so it's not a drama, but it's just another element where it's just a funny story.
Yeah.
Our Airbnb host was the kindest soul.
And she was just so accommodating.
Like she was an absolute legend.
Gem.
Like gem, like the kindest heart.
Especially with all of the restrictions, we were really worried that she would be really tight or like really like, I mean, obviously we followed every single rule, but we were really worried that she would still be really like iffy about us getting married at her property, because that wasn't the plan originally. We were supposed to originally get married at a friend's property, which was about half an hour, 40 minutes down the road. We realized that that was going to be too difficult to get married there and then have to come all the way back and blah, blah, blah.
They're back.
And so we decided to get married literally last minute the night before at our Airbnb.
We'd been thinking about it, but we're just like, if it's not accommodating, we're just going to have to get married there. But
so
then we're like, oh no, like this works perfect, like this place is perfect.
So we ended up getting married on the back deck of our Airbnb, but it was
gorgeous.
It's the most beautiful Airbnb, and we'll be posting heaps of photos when we get our photos back. Someone asked, what was your favorite thing about the day? So my favorite thing I would probably say was when we said our vows to each other. I loved I love saying my vows, and I loved hearing yours as well. And the fact that there was nobody there except for literally our 2 witnesses and then our celebrant as well.
Who we have a close relationship with.
Exactly.
Anyway.
The fact that there was no one there made it just so much more like intimate and personal.
How intimate it was.
And I really felt like we were talking to each other instead of talking to everyone else. Like,
it was literally like your vows to me and my vows to you. Yeah. And that was like it. Like,
and we got like not even our parents witnessed it, which was a little bit heartbreaking.
Which was sad, but
we got past it. It's not the end of the world. Anyway, what was your favorite part of the day?
Probably getting to see you for the first time. So
yeah,
when you were walking down the aisle, or walking to me.
Yeah, it was down the aisle.
Yeah, when you were walking down the aisle.
On the deck.
Probably like the best moment of my life. Brought a tear to my eye.
Yeah.
Brought a few. That's alright. But yeah, that was definitely my favourite moment, was getting to see my gorgeous bride.
I still can't actually believe it's happened. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
I know, it's pretty awesome.
The same person also asked, was the day stressful?
No.
No,
I thought it was going to be, but
I kind of went into this earlier about how like relaxed it was, but no, like our day was definitely not stressful. I feel like, again, that's another positive to eloping, is that it's just not stressful.
Yeah, like everything's on your terms. Like there's no person worrying about where you are, what you're doing. You're not having to meet timelines or guidelines. Because you're not paying anyone. You are completely in control. So you're not hiring
like a venue,
where you've got a timeline of this has to be done at this time, and this has to be done at this time, and this has to be done at this time. And another thing that makes it so much less stressful is when you get married normally, you only have an hour and 20 minutes, roughly. If that, normally an hour, no more than an hour.
To spend time with one another.
Which we obviously didn't have that opportunity. The opportunity that we had, which was to have 4 hours plus shooting with Ashleigh and Lincoln, like that was just incredible.
Just 4 hours together, like
and just
we got to spend that whole time together,
soak each other up and not get interrupted by anyone. Also Lincoln, he was our videographer. We'll link him below as well because his work's also incredible. So we were very blessed and lucky to have found both of them. They are just awesome people anyway. So yeah, we'll definitely link both of them below.
They're our besties. Maddie asked, why did you elope instead of wait? I'm in numerous Facebook groups that are like Australian brides, Melbourne brides, all that kind of thing. I joined them like a few months ago when I started planning because they really helped me out with planning. Ever since this COVID thing has kind of come up, we've all kind of been talking on those groups. I would literally say that 99% of brides have postponed because they just can't imagine like not having their family there, or they can't imagine not having their dad walk them down the aisle, which was heartbreaking for me. There were so many different like opinions, and one day I would like have decided on something and I would be like, okay, no, like we'll get married on our date still, and then like the next day I would be like, no, let's postpone. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah, Piper changed her mind probably 20 times.
Yeah, not quite. It ended up coming down to the fact that we realized that our relationship is between us and God and no one else. And the reason we were even having a wedding was for people to celebrate our marriage. So our marriage came first.
Yeah, that's why we were having a wedding.
That's why we were having the event.
So we didn't postpone the wedding. We cancelled the wedding and had the marriage.
Yeah.
Because you have a wedding to celebrate your marriage and it's like a wedding is for other people and for you to be on show.
Yeah.
But a marriage is the whole purpose, like is the core fundamental part of the wedding.
And I think it was really the best thing that we could have done for ourselves.
I feel like us personally, we benefited from it so much more than other people might. But for us, it was something that we will never regret.
There was a lot of prayer going into it, and God just made the answer clear that he would definitely protect us and allow us to make it to our date without us like going into lockdown or weddings being canned or anything like that. And so we decided to just listen to God and listen to what we thought was right, and that was getting married on our date, which you're about to yawn.
I was almost about to yawn, yeah.
Anyway, next question. Morgan asked, what changed from how you wanted your wedding to how it went?
Pretty much everything other than getting married.
Everything changed.
That's like the easiest, like it's way too hard to explain, but like that's honestly the easiest way to explain it. Like everything that was anything other than us getting married and the dress she was wearing and the suit that I was wearing, everything other than that,
canned.
The only thing that was kept the same was what I just said, and our celebrant, videographer and photographer. That was it. Everything else got changed. Guests, what we ate, what we did, where we were.
I don't think it changed from how I necessarily wanted. It just changed from how I planned. We had planned this wedding with 80 of our closest friends and family members, and we had all of them there. We'd sent all of our invites out. We'd gotten all the RSVPs back. Everything was all good.
Everything was all good, and then a fortnight out.
2 weeks out, Ezra gets a phone call from our venue saying, we have to cancel your wedding. Can you please either postpone or just cancel? We'll figure out the logistics later, but we just, like, you can't have your wedding on that day. And I was absolutely distraught. It was a horrible thing for us as a couple to have to go through. I feel like a lot of people from the outside might not know how much of like a strain that type of thing actually is.
Yeah, but a lot of people did message saying like, I can't imagine what you're going through, which is true. Like,
it is so difficult.
Unless you were planning the wedding in that time. We even have family members that are very close to us that
got married
were 3 weeks before us, and they were planning and everything, and not one thing affected their wedding. Like, they were able to have their wedding exactly how they planned it.
Yeah, so it just all happened so quickly, like all of the cancellations and everything like that. We just had to change everything literally last minute. But I would highly recommend eloping now that we've done it.
But we understand that it might not suit everyone, but for us personally, as a couple, it suited us so much, and people were worried that we would regret, and we were worried that we would regret, because we knew that whatever we did was never going to be exactly what we had planned our wedding day to be. Now that the day has come and gone, we're so far the other way. Like, we know we'll never regret it. We couldn't imagine not doing it that way now. Like, we're so happy about everything that happened. So Abby asked, and this is obviously directed at Piper because my name hasn't changed, but Abby said, what's your name? And I'm guessing that that's because Abby just wants to hear Piper's name.
It doesn't feel real when I say it.
Sure.
My name is Piper Blunt. Like that.
Like that? Okay, sure.
It does not feel real. Like, when I'm saying it, I'm like, Alexa asked, will you upload a video on your wedding?
99.9% yes.
Yes. We likely will. So this ties into another question which I'll put up on the screen, and that was how many people were at your wedding. These questions tie into each other because at our wedding we had the legal requirement in Australia. We had 5 people. We had our celebrant, then there was Ezra, myself, and then we had our 2 witnesses, photographer as witness 1 and then our videographer as witness 2. And it was super important for us to have these 2 people as witnesses because they're the ones who are going to document the day. And it was more important than ever. It was already a massive piece and probably the biggest thing that I put into like planning when we originally first started planning. It was definitely the most important thing to me was that our day was documented. But even now that our family was unable to experience it,
it's even more important that they were the ones that were there, because they were the ones that took photos and took videos, so that every single person, which was everyone that wasn't able to be there, is able to see exactly what happened.
So it ties into the first question, because yes, we'll have a video. That's the whole reason we had them there. We'll show it obviously to our family and friends first, but it likely will be up on YouTube at some point. So stay tuned for that.
Someone asked, how much did you spend? So we need to keep it budget friendly. Tips.
So I wanted to answer this question. I didn't want to go into full detail. I'm not going to give like exact numbers or anything that we spent. But one thing that I will say is that we tracked every single thing we spent. I wrote down, even if it was like $7 on like a nail polish or something like that.
You wrote it down.
I wrote it down. How it also worked was that Ezra and I both have full-time jobs. So before we were married, we had separate bank accounts. We both worked full-time. So how we were doing it was that Ezra's income would cover all of our bills, and then my income, I would save 100% of it, and it would go towards either our wedding or after marriage savings, just life in general. My income would be the savings, and then his would be like expenses. So that's how we budgeted for our wedding. Before we even sat down and booked anything, we went through our whole budget with Ezra's parents, and we made sure that everything we wanted would fit into what we had to pay for. Also, another tip that I would give is find out where in your wedding budget you are willing to spend the most money. For some people that might be like a live band. They want to spend X amount on a live band instead of a DJ, which is usually cheaper. For some people it might be, I want this massive 14-tier cake, and that's what means most to me, and they might decide to spend a lot of money on that. Some people it might be, I really want a really expensive dress and an expensive suit, or I want whatever it is.
Lots and lots of alcohol and really expensive wine. And
for us, our most important thing was photos and videos, which also takes up a massive chunk of your budget. It was a place that we were willing to like dive into and spend the most money on. That was something that we really thought we would not regret spending our money on that. And I'm so glad that we did that, because in hindsight, now that everything's like blown over and the fact that we only had those two there, I'm really glad that we hired really amazing people that were really good at their jobs. So I am just going to answer this question because we have gotten so many like DMs, comments, all that type of thing about
been married
this.
for a week.
Been married for not even a week.
For 6 days.
So the question is, how many kids do you want? And another thing that we're also getting is, when do you want kids? Likelihood, I don't want kids for like 15 years. I think children is a really sensitive topic, because I know a lot of people that can't conceive, and I pray that we don't ever have those issues, but like I think it's a really sensitive topic, and I don't want to go into it too much, but we have gotten so many questions, so I just thought we should let you all know that it's not going to be for a long time. Guys, I'm still only 19, like I am really young.
19 and 21.
So someone asked, will you guys move into your own home anytime soon?
And the answer is yes.
Yes!
So currently we live with Piper's dad, and it's just the 3 of us in a home.
Yep.
Which is awesome. We all get along very well.
It sucks not having our own space.
Yes, it does. We are married now. We are looking to hopefully move out
ASAP. And I love my dad. We both love my dad so much, but we just think it's really important for our relationship and marriage to have our own space. We don't know exactly when that will be because of all of the restrictions. I'm so excited to like decorate. So we are going to stop answering questions because we've been sitting here talking for the longest time. But thank you guys for sending in all of your questions. We loved answering them all. I'm sure there are many that we missed. Super excited to see like the final product of our photos, our video, everything like that. In short, I think it's just safe to say that despite the circumstances, it was the best day of my life. I know. our
Nice.
life. Yeah, it was so much fun. We had the whole day to ourselves. In fact, actually, a little story time. After we got married and we went for our photos, we were out for like hours. We had so much fun. We had our first dance out with just our photographer and our videographer. We explored heaps of different like paddocks and farmland around where our Airbnb was, and we just had the most fun together. And then we came back to our Airbnb and we ate some cake that Ezra's mum made. We cut our cake. We had our first dance in one of the paddocks. Like, we still did all of the traditional stuff. And
great.
it was so much fun.
Awesome day.
It was the best day. And then after that, actually, so we ate cake and we then went out to a liquor store. In Australia, we call them bottle-os. I literally walked in the door and I went up to the counter and I was like, guess what I did today? And she was like, what? Like, she was so like,
taken back.
and she was
what?
probably like, I would say like mid-40s, late 40s.
Yeah.
And then there was another guy who was maybe like our age, a little bit older. They were both like, what did you do? I was like,
I got married today.
I got married today. And her face lit up. She was like,
It was like the best thing she'd seen in months.
yeah. I showed her photos before we'd even like showed our family or anything like that. I was like, look. And they were both like, oh my gosh. And they were looking at our rings and we were chatting for like 10 minutes. And we were like checking out with our alcohol, and which we don't usually drink, but we thought it's our wedding night, let's have one.
One.
Or a few. Well, you had a few. I think I had like half. As we were checking out, she was like, I love you guys so much, I'm gonna give you my staff discount.
Yeah.
And then we went home and we made
Love. Multiple times.
oh my gosh, no. We made beef soft tacos, which are like,
Our specialty.
so we just had like dinner together when we went back to our Airbnb, just spending the whole day together. It was just a lot of fun. Then we got to sleep at a good time. It was like 9:30, 10 o'clock. So regardless, yeah, it was still the absolute like best day of our lives, hands down. Anyway, with all that said, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for sending in all of your questions. Like I said earlier, if you guys have any more questions, feel free to comment them down below because I know we missed some. Make sure to subscribe to Piper Bond on your way out. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.